All right, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Running a little bit late today because our firstborn child just started working at a restaurant. Very first job,
Yep.
bussing tables, and yeah, it hasn't quite hit me yet. We're friends with the person who hired him, and when when I was dropping him off, the my friend was like, talking to Jay and said, "Your dad's gonna, he's gonna drive away and he's gonna have a." And it did kind of like it started to hit me a little bit. I was like, wow. And I think if I were to shed a tear for something, it would be the fact that I have a child that's old enough to have their first job.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's not, I guess technically he is old enough, but
yeah,
not to work in any place except like for a friend, probably. So at least there's that. It's not until he turns 16 that.
yeah, but that's right around the corner anyway.
Yeah,
Like
I know.
we're just months away at this point.
Yeah,
So
true.
um, so anyways, I had to drop him off for his shift.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it's
that's
added a little bit of complication.
yeah, it's going to complicate things a little bit, but we'll figure it out. So I think we can just go ahead and dive in.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and start with the intro. Here we go. Welcome to In the Boat with Ben and Rachel. I'm Ben,
And I'm Rachel.
and we are a show that exists to encourage creators. We talk about our own experiences as creators, working full time from home with a large family, trying to balance our passion and our family life. And we hope that through sharing our stories and our perspectives, you feel a little bit more encouraged and motivated to do the work that you love to do. So today, we had a topic planned, and I kind of changed it at the last minute because I saw a tweet from a friend of mine. This is from a guy named Khe Hy, very, very cool person, successful entrepreneur, but also is the kind of person who's really trying to maintain a healthy balance. He started out working in Wall Street. He was making lots and lots of money, but he was very unhappy. And uh, and I'm not going to do his story justice, but it kind of hit him one day, and he shifted gears, changed his lifestyle, is now running a blog and sells online courses, or sells an online course. He also sells some other things, but he's kind of built his business around something that fits the lifestyle that he wants to have, and the money has become less of a question. So it wasn't a surprise to me when I saw this tweet from him this morning. It's very in line with the kind of question he would ask. He said, "Imagine your wages immediately double. Do you A, work half the time for the same amount of money, or B, work the same amount for double?" So on the count of three, we're going to, at the same time, we're going to say A or B, whichever one we would do. All right.
Okay.
You ready? 1, 2, 3.
Both.
It depends. Both is an interesting answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It depends is probably like not as interesting. So I'll go ahead and go first. It does depend a lot, I think, on the kind of work you are currently doing. And I think it also depends on how you feel about the time that you have. So if you're already working 80 hours a week, you're probably feeling that in other areas of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably feeling that pinch. If you're working 40 hours a week and you've got a lot of responsibilities, you're probably feeling that. Um, on the other hand, you might be in a situation where you are working 40 hours a week, you've got responsibilities, but the money that you make doesn't quite get you there. And so having double would mean you could put money in savings and make investments into your own side business and like other things that aren't possible for you right now. So that's where I think it depends comes in, because it seems so like there's obviously, I think, like it is for many of these types of questions, there's not a one size fits all answer.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not really like a correct answer philosophically even. But I think we will try to unpack kind of the philosophical part of it a little bit too in this episode. All right, so how does both work?
Well, I mean, I don't think you could do both at the same time, but I think whenever, so in my mind, I was thinking, what if I could work 3/4 of the time for the same amount of money, and then I would make more money, but I would have 1/4 more time for whatever. But I'll tell you, like, my initial was just keep working the same. And part of it is because I don't have a lot of work hours anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think if I cut back, then my goals would start to slide. I would love to make more money for the amount of time that I put into my work. But I think because I enjoy my work so much and because I have so little time, it feels like, to do it, writing a book would take longer if I cut back on the time that I worked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that's a good, like, I feel more fulfilled in the time that I have with our family and stuff. But there's also something, and maybe this gets into the philosophical thing, as a woman, when I think about my time getting cut back or deciding to cut back my time, the belief that we have as women is that, okay, so if that work time is cut back, then I should be doing more for my family.
Mm-hmm.
And we never immediately go to, if I cut back 1/4 of my hours, I can use that time for myself to do whatever I want. It's more like, okay, what are the, as the societal expectations. The classroom sees that I don't work as much, and so they want me to bake cookies for their PTA thing or whatever. And so it's like, it's this whole thing that you have to, and so I don't feel like I'm willing to compromise on those hours because I love my work and it feels fulfilling, but the societal expectations for a woman do not feel fulfilling to me.
Yeah. And so like on, were I in the same situation,
You'd be like, I get to go play
like,
golf.
Oh,
or...
you should take up a hobby.
Yeah.
Like,
but if somebody, if I were talking with somebody and I'm like, oh, I cut back on my hours at work, I mean, their immediate thing would be like, oh, well, why don't you come join this volunteer group for, the PTA or whatever. So it's very different.
Yeah. And I want to acknowledge that, we are becoming, culturally, we're becoming a little bit more progressive in a lot of ways, in the ways that we think about women's time and responsibilities, and for that matter, men's time and responsibilities.
Women still don't get paid as much as men.
Right. So
our time isn't quite as valuable
so that what I'm saying is, what I'm acknowledging is, like we haven't reached that line.
Mm-hmm.
We're closer to it. And so if you took the same sample of people 20 years ago, their response to a woman having more time would be different from that same sample taken today, because we've grown a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm trying to acknowledge the people who are listening, because there are people who are doing that work to understand,
Yeah.
and I want to honor that,
Yeah.
because that's really important. What I want to encourage those people to do is to take the next step further and look for places in conversations that you're having with other people, where there are opportunities to educate others and illuminate that lack of equality, not just in the actual wages, but the cultural expectations on time. When we say those things, we're actually, especially those of us who are already on board and already doing that work, we're accelerating that movement toward that goal. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it is something that, like, for someone like me, I don't really think about, oh, what extra stuff. I will say, I think about, like, what extra stuff could I do with my time around the house to make
Like
things a little bit
repairs and
right. But
That
it's
would be
not
nice.
it's not just that. I think for most people, we're in a situation where we just don't have enough time to do all of the things that we need to do, let alone the things that we want to do.
Mhm.
And I think culturally we still feel this sense of, like, this is, and I think this is an American culture thing. It's very, like, productivity based value, that if you have enough time to do something for yourself that you enjoy, but you're not getting something done that needs to be done, that you're not doing enough. And that is placing the blame on the person instead of on a culture that really expects too much of people in general. We're expected to raise our families kind of more or less without the help of our community.
Mhm.
And that's not always the case, but in most cases, it's kind of like, well, that's your family and this is my family, and you deal with your thing and I'll deal with my thing. So that's why, like, when I see this question, the time thing hits me the hardest, I think, more than the money thing. I think the money can be, so the first thought I had when you were describing, like, what you might want to do was, it would make a lot more sense for you to take the money, because the money could be used to pay for more time outside of the time that you spend on work
Yeah.
for yourself. So it's not necessarily that you want to work less. And I think a lot of people might feel that way too. Like, they don't necessarily want to work less, but they want to, when they're not working, not have so much of their time consumed with other things they have to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You just summed it all up. Where do we go from here?
All right. Well, thanks for listening. No. So I still think, though, that it doesn't quite answer the question of, like, well, I'm going to back up. I'm going to say this because I remember having this thought too. You mentioned, like, working 3/4 of the time, like, kind of doing not an A or B thing,
Yeah.
but like something in between.
That's just me, though. I always find the next. I find
Yeah.
the C answer.
But that was actually one of my first thoughts too, is like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't necessarily want to cut my hours back to half of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily need double
Yeah.
my income, what if I did a hybrid?
Mm-hmm.
So I just worked 3/4 of the hours and I had, an additional, I guess that would be an additional 50% on top of,
Yeah.
yeah. So that would kind of be the best of both worlds,
Mm-hmm.
because it would allow me to continue, like I would have still plenty of time to do the work that I want to do. And at the same time, have a little bit more time to do some of the extra stuff that I want to do, plus enough money to save up for things, invest in my side business, and pay other people to do other things around the house or whatever that I really don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like I would love to get a cleaning service and a lawn person, and like,
Yeah, just take care of all that
Mhm.
stuff. And the repairs would be nice.
and the repairs.
I keep coming back to that. I was just gonna say, but even maybe this is like because I work so few hours, even thinking about going down to 3/4 of what I do, I'm like, man, I feel like I wouldn't make any progress on stuff,
Yeah.
So I think it just depends on the creative too, based on, how much time you actually have to devote to your creative work. Whether or not you would actually cut. I think every creative person would probably love to be paid double for everything they create,
Yeah.
because historically we are not paid what we are worth.
Right.
And I would be willing to guess that most creative people would probably not want to cut back on hours unless it's something they do, like you said, 10 hours a day or something, because they have to make the money. I would be willing to guess that most creative people wouldn't want to cut back the hours, just because creative work is so fulfilling and so wonderful and kind of makes us, I know for me, it feels like it's just a restorative time
Yeah.
in my day. Like I look forward, I had a sabbatical this week, and I'm like, I've had to talk myself out of picking up one of my writing journals and just trying to write, because I miss it so much already,
Yeah.
So
So what if the answer for you is that you get paid double,
mm-hmm.
and you use some of that money to pay for like a nanny, and then you can work even more hours,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't take many more hours, but
or not. I said a nanny, like that is kind of playing into the whole, like, you would need to pay for a nanny.
oh yeah. See yeah.
But it is, so we share in our household, we share
Mm-hmm.
the house responsibilities pretty evenly.
Yeah.
I can't think of any place where, besides swapping a day every once in a while, maybe we would be able to make it more even than it already is. And so, like, I feel like that would be a viable answer for either of us, is just having an extra set of hands and eyes,
Yeah.
where, and especially where we are in our family life right now, with our children being a little bit older and a little bit more independent, it's really not as much that we need people to do things for the kids as we need a little bit of extra help with the kids and like managing interactions and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like in either case, I think an extra set of hands and eyes would be nice. Or, if we were in a scenario where I was able to kind of scale the amount of time I spent working based on, how much we needed in our budget.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to work full time right now, so I can't just necessarily go to my employer and be like, hey, can I work 30,
Yeah.
3/4 time,
Right.
or half the time, but if that was the situation, like there's room there for oh, so if you're going to make double the money, then I can cut back this much on my hours and I can
Mhm.
spend more time with the kids. And I think I would really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Um, honestly,
Yeah, you always wanted to be like a stay-at-home dad.
I'm still holding out.
Yeah.
Rachel's book's going to make the bestseller list and she's going to get a movie deal
Mhm.
for one of her stories. And then that's just going to be the beginning. Everything's going to take off from there. And it's going to be like, Ben, why do we even need you to work anymore? You know? And I'm going to be like, yeah, I guess you're right. I'll just be a,
You
know,
love your job, so you might do it for longer, but
I do love my job. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but the option would be there to be a full-time stay-at-home dad.
Yeah. I was never, at the risk of sounding like a terrible mom, I was never cut out for the stay-at-home scene.
So newsflash, everybody. Some men are actually personality-wise maybe better suited to be the primary caretakers and responsible for the household stuff. And some women, personality-wise, are just more driven and work-oriented, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's just,
That's our dynamic, yeah.
Yeah.
So, not that I'm a bad mom.
Right.
I get tired of kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't tell them I said that.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is kind of a last minute, shift to a different topic. And I think it's interesting the direction the conversation took because, I kind of learned some things about myself and about you and some of the values that you have around time versus money.
Well, I kind of want to know what you would do with more time. Like if you had more free time that wasn't work time.
So I was actually thinking about that. And one of the problems with the prospect of having more time that I see for myself is I already know that I don't spend my time as well as I would like to.
Yeah.
And so I like the idea of having more time, but I wish that I was more disciplined with my time so that it would matter more. That like having more time would mean I would be more productive in the ways that I want to be, or I would do more of the fun things that I want to do. Like that is a thing too. You can be so inefficient with your time. Maybe you just have a lot of bad habits around social media like I have, or I don't know. For whatever reason, like when I think of having more time, I'm like, there are lots of things that I would want to do, and then I might find myself just getting really frustrated that I'm not.
Oh, that you're not doing it.
That I'm not doing them.
And that's a way of feeling unfulfilled too.
Right. So it's almost like I feel better not having as much time because then I can lean on that as the excuse.
Well, not having as much unstructured time.
Right.
That's not dedicated to work, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, if I were more disciplined with my time and I had more time, I would write more music and I would want to perform more. I would have a one-on-one date with each of the kids once a week. I would I might, go on a date with you once a week or something too.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
We already kind of have a weekly date, but like
it's a stay-at-home date. But
and going out used to be fun.
Yeah.
But it's like
we're so comfortable here at home.
Going out is a lot of work.
One of the boys did say yesterday, though, I think it might have been one of the twins, said, it's been a really long time since y'all have been on a date. I was like, yeah, kind of has.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of, I don't know, maybe maybe this isn't the play, but I'm kind of following your lead a little bit
Hmm.
because I love to go out. I love going and doing things and having fun, and you know, um,
So I'm the killjoy. I
no,
see.
no, but I also understand that going out and doing things is a lot of work and it's overwhelming, and I'm I have just as much fun, sitting down watching a show with you or going on a walk and talking. So we could do more of those things,
Yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
if I had more time. Um,
Yeah.
I guess I would keep the house in better shape.
I don't know about that.
Work on the work on the yard a little bit more. Those a lot more of those. I guess we call them honeydews.
That's
That's a
not
terrible, yeah,
yeah, it's not a great term.
because it's not like you have. I made the list. I made the list,
Yeah.
people. I made the list.
But and also like I could go out and mow the lawn. I just don't want to. I mean, I guess that's with you too. Yeah.
So, anyways, I made the list. I just, I don't have time. I don't have time to do that stuff.
Mhm.
So, what would you do with extra time?
Um I don't know. I'd have to think. I'd probably read more. I feel like I don't, on the weeks that I don't have, sabbaticals, I don't get to read as much as I would like to. I do read audiobooks when I'm like out for runs, and that's about the only progress that I make on books, which I still, I still read like between 15 and 20 books a month, but there's something about like holding the book in your hands and seeing it, seeing the words on the page. And I feel like I don't get enough of that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. I think like you, I would do a date with the boys one-on-one with the kids. And, I would love to bring back, we used to do, we called it snuggle time
Yeah.
back when the kids were really young. And if I had more time, I'd probably bring back some of those things we did when they were really young, like playing board games together and some of
Mhm.
those things. So, taking them out places. I feel like if I, I don't know, maybe if I made more money and had more time, I would have more energy to go places. I don't know. That might not even be true, but
Energy is something that we haven't brought into this conversation, but it's extremely relevant because even if you have more time, but you don't have the energy,
mm-hmm.
it's kind of like, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? Well, and as an introvert, my energy, like I have to be very selective with where I put my energy out into the world. So,
Well, and that's where. So I recently did this exercise with myself where I wrote down all of the things that I want to do, all of my goals. I just made a big list, and then I categorized each of the goals. I just did kind of a word cloud for each one,
mm-hmm.
and one of the categories that came up for a few of these goals was the category of energy, like things that I could do that would either give me energy or that would save me energy in some way. And so the money thing, when I think about things like having somebody else mow the lawn or having somebody else clean the house, anything in my life that like it's like it's the
Sucks
same
energy
amount.
away.
Yeah, it's you're spending the same amount of time, but you're spending like 3 or 4 times the energy because you don't want to do it, or like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And maybe that's an attitude thing.
Well, and also getting the kids involved in those things takes a lot of energy. I mean, we do every other week cleaning of our house, and the kids do it with us, and it's just we get to it usually takes us about 2 hours.
Yeah.
But the first half hour of that is just like kids asking questions, kids complaining, all of these
Fighting.
things, fighting. Yeah. And it's just so much energy to do all of those things. And so, yeah, it really is. Yeah. I want them to know how to clean their own place. Like, that's really important to me, because as a person who lived with people in college and stuff, I know that there are people who don't clean and don't know how to pick up their things and that sort of thing, you know, and
Yeah.
that's important when you live with other people. So, but at the same time, it's just, there's a lot of energy it requires for a parent to teach a kid. It's almost like I forget how little they know and how
Yeah.
much you have to say. Like, hey, if you leave your clothes on the floor in the bathroom and then you don't dry off and you just tromp all over your clothes on the way out the bathroom door, they're going to sit there in a mildewy mess. Like,
Yeah.
let's let's do something about that.
And then multiply that same sentence by, 100 times per child
Yeah.
over the course of their adolescence. And that's a fraction of how many times you actually have to say that same phrase.
Right.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy just raising kids in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it would be great for the whole like village thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the village
Where is it? We need a
Where's-
village.
where I can be like, all right, look, I'm gonna go for a walk in the woods. My kids are playing with your kids. They're good, right? Okay, I'm gonna go. I got you next time.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that, especially in
Modern times.
modern
Mhm.
culture. But yeah, double my money. I'll find some way to save myself some energy so that I can make that time worth it.
Mm-hmm.
But I should probably work on my time habits right now, like, just to prepare.
Yeah.
You've got great time habits. I don't know how you do it. Like, you make a schedule for yourself and you stick to it.
I do. I get really mad if people interrupt that schedule too.
Yeah. That's so great. I mean, that's a fantastic, I don't know if it's a skill or if it's just like your
I don't know.
personality.
I think it's my personality. I feel like I've always been, I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't write down a schedule or anything, but I always had it in my head. Like, I did the same things every morning when I woke up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to school and you're basically doing the same things there. And then you come home and you do the same things that, it's like,
Yeah.
and I know what time I would go to bed, what time I would do this. There were, time for homework. I think maybe it was more perfected in high school because I had a job and I was, I played the clarinet, so I had to have time to practice. And then I was working to be valedictorian, so I had to have homework time, all of that stuff. So I think that's when it kind of stepped up a little. And then in college, I actually found a schedule that I had written in college for some of my classes and stuff. But that's how you get a 4.0, people.
Mm-hmm. That's how you do it. You just have that kind of personality
No.
and do those things. No.
It's really hard to turn off though. Like this week I'm on my sabbatical. I thought I really should have like slept an hour later every morning because I get up every morning at 4:15. And I was, a sabbatical is kind of equivalent to vacation. And I got up every morning at 4:15 this week. So sometimes I think I would like a little bit of the relaxed,
Yeah.
take the schedule away, but I have a hard time stepping away from it.
It is kind of, I mean, it's comforting
Mm-hmm.
not to wonder when I wake up in the morning, am I just going to hit snooze and keep sleeping, or am I going to get up and go work out?
Yeah, free time actually feels kind of anxiety inducing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to have the tasks to fill it,
Yeah. So if you had extra time, you'd find a way to fill it up.
But I would probably, I've actually experimented on my sabbaticals with just having a task list, but it's more like read this book and, you know, hang out with this kid and, you know, stuff like that. That seems really kind of dumb for people to write down, but that's just the way I work, you know? So otherwise it just feels like unstructured space, and that feels very anxiety inducing to me.
Yeah. I think it's worthwhile. I feel like it kind of works in this order because time is the thing you can't get back. And I mean, they're working on it, scientific advancements and stuff like that. So who knows? But as far as things are right now, like time is the thing you can't get back. And so how you value your time, I think, comes through in the, you know, the way that you structure your life and your habits and stuff like that, and the things that you say yes to and the things you say no to. But it is by far the most valuable thing. But you can't, if you don't have the energy, you can't, that time is not as valuable to you. And so I feel like those two are really like head and shoulders above money. And really, if anything, money is just a tool that you can use to get more time, to get more energy, if you spend it on the right things.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this conversation is gonna create any aha moments for anyone, but it's definitely really interesting, and it does make me want to go back and be better about how I structure my time and the kind of habits that end up devaluing my time. I mean, that's what it is. It's like if you don't know how to use your time wisely, and I don't mean that you are productive every moment of every day. I just mean like when I have a choice between doing something good for myself or like spending time on something that I know would bring me joy and wasting time on social media, 9 times out of 10, I end up doing the thing that's not bringing me as much joy, you know? So like that's something that I think is worth working on, because it's like, yeah, my time is more valuable to me when I'm able to make the better choice in that scenario. So anyways.
Well, and all of us need restoration time too, you know. Even people who love being around people need time to just be and like have no agenda or, you know, people asking them for things. And that was one thing my therapist and I talked about this week, is just during the summertime, it feels like there's no space, there's no moment to just be by myself, even in the work day, because people are constantly coming in and out of the room, and some of them want to talk to me or they say something.
And there's no guarantee they won't come in and interrupt you.
Right. So it just, and she was asking me, do you have time where you just like, you know, take time to yourself? And I said, well, the work is kind of like that. You know, I get to work and stuff. And she's like, you're working. Even though you enjoy your work, that's not the restoration time that everybody needs. Even if it's just, you know, 10 or 15 minutes here or there. Maybe I should soak my tired feet in an Epsom salt bath, you know, something like that. So, yeah.
Why would that never occur to me as something that I could do?
The Epsom salt bath?
Yeah, like, why have I never soaked my feet in an Epsom? That sounds lovely.
Yeah, it is kind of lovely. I do it because I run so much, but I think it could work for everybody. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a fun topic.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. If you've made it this far, congratulations. This episode took kind of a little bit of a meandering path, but I feel like it was really good stuff.
Yeah, it was more philosophical and it's good.
All right. Well, if you're enjoying the show and you want to help us out, you can leave a review. That would be awesome. On any podcasting platform that you use to listen to your favorite podcasts, leave us a review. That helps us get a little bit more visibility, possibly get in front of more people. What helps even more to do that is if you share this podcast with somebody else. So if you know somebody who would enjoy these conversations, get value out of them, please pass this podcast along. That would mean a lot to us. You can also sign up for our newsletter at intheboatpodcast.com. And that way we can let you know if there are any special events or updates or anything like that. Rachel, if they want to find you online, where can they go?
RachelTolson.com.
Yep. And I'm at bentolson.com. I'm also at Ben Tolson on all of the things. Thanks again for listening, and we will talk to you next time. All right. Yeah, I think we'll cut the after show so that we
For
can,
today, yeah.
so we can get going. But
we have to do some grocery shopping.
Yeah. It's the schedule stuff.
Yeah.
It's so complicated. That's the reason I'm like, our kids haven't shown a lot of interest in like being involved in sports and stuff like that. And
it's been nice.
Yeah. And we haven't pushed them. Like, we're supportive.
Yeah. If they want to do something, we'd
be supportive, but, and I think we need to do a better job, I think, of making sure they understand, like, hey, if you want to try out for anything, you can. That would be awesome. Hi, Corey. Good to see you. Yeah, we're about to sign off, but you can always go back and listen. I think this is a worthwhile conversation. But it is nice, not like, I've heard the stories of parents who are like,
they eat dinner at like 9.
Because all their kids finish up and they have to like drive 3 places at the same time to drop
soccer on Saturday, all day Saturday. And I think part of it is our kids just don't want to give up their Saturdays and stuff for something that doesn't feel quite as important to them,
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
And certainly, especially where we live, there are a lot of parents who are living vicariously through their kids.
Yeah.
And their kids playing sports. Like, I played football for
I did all the things,
couple of years. I think that was it, actually. I just because I got involved in music right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of these kids out here, like,
they're just so overscheduled,
and they're being pushed into doing these things because it's like, the parents, they want to be those sports bleacher parents, kind of thing.
I'd rather not have to sit. Although I did tell them if anybody wants to run track, I'll train with them. So
there you go. Yeah. we will be supportive of whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
But we're not going to like
push them into
you
it.
Should.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyways. All right. We're going to sign off. Thanks again for watching, listening, and we'll see you next time.